Spoiler warning! I'll be talking about the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Jujutsu Kaisen in this video. If you haven't seen the episode yet, then I suggest you watch it first and then come back here, okay? Okay. So the episode starts off where last week's episode ended, but this time the entire scene itself had some new angles and perspectives as it went on, and it was still heartbreaking to see Riko's premature death happen again on screen, and this time in multiple different angles. But the last episode ended with Geto summoning 2 of his strongest curses, while in this one, after Toji says he has killed Gojo, he immediately commands his Rainbow Dragon to attack him immediately, and it just crashes everything around them. I also love how Toji getting multiple shots fired while he was being launched by the Rainbow Dragon curse, as Geto then was able to use another curse to block the incoming bullets. Afterwards, Rainbow Dragon disappears and Toji just walks out of the smoke as he tells Geto to be patient. And after that, we just go into the opening, and once it was finished, I just love the sequence here with Toji and Geto walking as he explains about what he had to do in order to get this far. He explains how he's able to get in undetected, he explains the current situation outside of Jujutsu High, and everything about this was just so interesting to me. As soon as Toji reached a dead end, Geto uses a curse technique which he shoots out multiple curses as if he were holding a gun, and to his surprise, Toji was already at a different area now. He continues talking as he explains what the curse spirit wrapped around his body serves for, and it's so disgusting how he just pukes the curse spirit out of his body, and the reason why he eats it is to hide the curse spirit's presence. Toji continues on explaining to Geto as he tells him that's enough, and as told in season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, the very moment a sorcerer explains their abilities to their opponents, the more effective and strength the attacks would have. But Geto asks how he was able to find them so accurately when they didn't even leave any of the slightest residuals behind, as Toji then explains how things like scent, footprints, and so on are residuals themselves, and that he himself has heightened senses. Geto then asks about Kuroi as Toji simply says he killed her along the way, and Geto just commands the Rainbow Dragon to charge towards Toji, breaking down door by door as it encounters its target. Geto then fires multiple projectiles while Toji is just falling from above, and I love the huge smile on his face as this is going on, showing us how much he's enjoying this. As soon as he lands on a rooftop, we then see a gigantic curse pop up as Toji avoids all of the Squid Curse's projectiles, as he then, without a doubt, annihilates Rainbow Dragon, splitting it in 2. Rest in peace, by the way. Even Geto was surprised seeing that Rainbow Dragon getting stabbed, as that one has the toughest hide there is. As Toji then lands right in front of Geto, Rainbow Dragon's body crashes right next to them as the area they're in falls. Time stops and the female curse apparition asks Toji if she's pretty. And I just love how he's analyzing what the curse spirit does and what its requirements are. Like, it's pretty cool just seeing the enemy thinking about their opponent's abilities and stuff. He immediately rejects the curse spirit and a few strands of his hair gets cut off, and a small wound even pops up as multiple blades were right in front of him. Toji then grabs the weapon he used to break Gojo's infinity and destroys everything surrounding him. Time goes back to normal as he says it's over. Not until Geto was right next to him as she finishes the line by saying, "For you." Geto then tried to take his curse spirit away, thinking as soon as his weapon holding curse is gone, he could gang up on him. But he was unable to do so as Toji stops him and almost kills Geto by giving him an X-mark injury, kicking him away as they just crash into the ground. Toji just then walks towards the now unconscious Geto as he explains that if he were to be a Shikigami user, he would have killed him right then and there. But since his technique is curse manipulation, he doesn't want to find out what happens to the other curses he has when he dies. He then proceeds to kick Geto as he says he had a blessed parentage, but even with that said blessing, all of them were defeated by a monkey like him who can't even use curse techniques, as we get shots of Riko, Kuroi, and even a new shot of Gojo's dead body. He then remembers naming his son Megumi, and I love his reaction upon remembering his son's name out of nowhere. Like, it really made me chuckle there. We then cut to Toji being at the Star Religious Group headquarters as he shows the representative on Riko Amanai's body to confirm the kill. And it's so gross how the cursed spirit on that shoulder was just keeping Riko's body in there. Like, what the hell? So they also give more explanation about the Star Religious Group and their origins, But I don't really care, cause they were the ones responsible on taking Riko's life away. Toji too, but you get my point. I also love how Toji just says the dude is crazy, as we then see the mediator and him have a normal conversation. And the scenery and the animation here really looked really beautiful and peaceful. As the mediator leaves, Toji decides to head out of there as well, only to be hit by a ray of sunlight as he then sees right in front of him someone blocking his way. It was none other than Gojo, who was back from the dead. Gojo then shows Toji the healed up area on where he struck him in the last episode, as he realized that Gojo was able to use reversed curse technique. We then see Gojo talking in a high frenzied voice as if he was high. I mean, technically he was, as Gojo then says Toji's going to fail because he didn't use the weapon to kill him. As he then replies by saying this will be their rematch. And then we just see Gojo yelling for the first time since we've seen him, and the action starts from there. Toji leaps in for the strike only for Gojo to dodge it, and use red pushing him away. I love the struggled look on Toji's face as he's barely able to keep the ability red from piercing his body, and as he gets pushed away. He then sees Gojo simply floating right in front of him as he is just enlightened with all of this going on. Toji then starts to flex his muscles as he explains all of Gojo's technique. And I found it pretty interesting how we get another sequence of someone explaining how Gojo's techniques work. From the limitless technique, he can stop anything that heads towards him, the power to attract objects around him, which was blue, and red, the power to repel. Toji then says to himself that these are all things he can handle as he realized that something was off, over and over again as he connected the inverted spear of heaven to a chain, making its attack more long range. As he then ignored his own thoughts as Gojo's smile fades and he just stares at him that even the man was surprised himself. Gojo just continues to dodge the spear and we just hear his thoughts as he apologizes to Riko that he isn't even mad for her death, but that what he's feeling right now was something very wonderful to him. The sensation of being the strongest, the sensation of being the one keeping everything together was rushing through his body. Through sheer death, he was able to learn reverse curse technique even though he wasn't able to understand a single thing Shoko told him on how to do it. He was just, throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one. And I also love the piano piece from last episode playing here as we see shots of life being shown on screen, showing us how aware and enlightened Gojo was at this very moment. And again, it's really such a beautiful piece. You can then see the desperation in Toji's reaction as he continues his attacks, but none of them seem to hit the stationary honored one as Gojo talks about how information is easily leaked and that Toji was a member of the Zenin clan, which is the reason as to why he knows so much about his limitless technique. But at this very moment, Gojo shows Toji a technique that not even most of his clan knew. We as the audience already know of this move though. Gojo combines both red and blue, making his strongest technique purple as it annihilates everything in its path, and I love how the time froze as he was combining his two techniques too. Then we just get an explanation as to why Toji did this in the first place. He wanted to reject the very existence of Gojo SATORU, the strongest sorcerer in the modern age. Or was he the strongest sorcerer because he was Gojo SATORU? Either way, we just see Toji's left side completely torn off from his body as he just looks at his own blood with his own eyes, as we then see him with his life flashing before his eyes as he sees his wife and a young Megumi. Gojo asks if he has any last words as Toji replies that he hasn't any until he remembers Megumi, and then he tells Gojo about in a year or two his son would be sold off to the Zenin clan and that he could do anything with that information. And the episode ends there. Or does it? We actually get an after credits scene where the cursed spirit wrapping around Toji crawls towards Geto, who was now fully healed, and we just see the realization of what was happening. The pure shock in his face says it all, and the reddish sunset setting as well to set the mood that was really good. And this also shows us how Geto was able to have this cursed spirit in the first place, as when the events of Jujutsu Kaisen 0 takes place, we can see that very same cursed spirit wrapping around his body there, so it's another nice detail to catch. Geto rushes inside only to see tons of common folk simply smiling and clapping as Gojo was carrying Riko's lifeless body, and the shocked reaction of seeing Gojo's lifeless eyes just scared him there quite a bit, that even he was unsure of what he was looking at. Gojo then asks if they should kill everyone in the room, and it's really heartbreaking to see Geto just holding back on his rage as he explains that it would be pointless. Gojo then even asks if there is a need to be a point to do it, him talking about the murder of these people in front of them. And we just see a beautiful yet painful way as we see the separation between Gojo and Geto right in this very moment. The pain of seeing Geto holding himself together as the hundreds of people clapping in the room was all he could hear, as we get a shot of just darkness slowly consuming Geto, and then the episode truly ends there. Seriously, what an insane episode this was. Geto and Toji's fight, Gojo and Toji's rematch, like the episode was just really good. Filled with amazing action and animation, the soundtrack really made things tense, beautiful, sorrowful, and many more, and all the newly added scenes and fights were really good. I liked it every single one, but my favorite episode is still the third one. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe, or hit the bell notification below so you'd be notified of when I would upload my next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next episode. See ya!
聴いてください。新曲ダブル黒歴史ぼっち弾き語りバージョン。憂鬱な日々増えてくトラウマいらない私の負の遺産思い出してはひっそり泣いてる暗い暗い私の歴史いつか笑い飛ばせたらいいのにな